You open the app one more time. Nothing has changed. You know nothing has changed. You do it anyway. You order the dessert after promising yourself you wouldn't. You hit snooze even though you already know exactly what happens next. You buy the thing you didn't need. The moment the discount timer starts counting down, a small voice in your head says, "Stop." You don't stop. You call this weak willpower, a character flaw you need to fix with more discipline. But the real answer is far stranger than that. Your brain was never designed to make good decisions. It was designed to make fast ones. For most of human history, fast and good were the same thing. What happens when they stop being the same thing? That gap is where every one of your so-called bad decisions is actually born. Go back 200,000 years. Your ancestors are not choosing between a salad and a burger. They are choosing between eating the ripe fruit in front of them right now or waiting for something possibly better that might never arrive. There is no refrigerator. There is no guaranteed meal tomorrow. The brain that grabs the fruit survives the week. The brain that pauses to calculate the long-term optimal nutritional strategy starves while it's still doing the math. So evolution built you a shortcut. A reward system that screams, yes, now, this, long before your slower, more reasonable thoughts even finish forming a sentence. Neuroscientists call the chemical behind that scream dopamine. For decades, most people assumed dopamine was simply your brain's pleasure chemical, the reward you get after something good happens. It made intuitive sense. It was also wrong. A neuroscientist named Kent Berridge, working at the University of Michigan, spent years studying reward circuits and found something the pleasure story couldn't explain. He discovered that wanting something and liking something are two separate systems in your brain, not one. Dopamine, it turns out, isn't the chemical of enjoyment, it's the chemical of pursuit. You can want something with your entire body, feel pulled toward it, and barely enjoy it once you actually get it. Sound familiar? Think about the last time you finished an entire bag of chips and felt nothing but slightly sick. Here's the part that should unsettle you. That wanting system doesn't care whether the reward is good for you. It only cares about two things: how fast the reward arrives and how uncertain it is. Speed matters more than you'd think. In the 1960s, a psychologist named Walter Mischel ran a now famous study at Stanford. He sat young children in a room, placed a single marshmallow in front of them, and made a simple offer. Eat this one now or wait alone in the room for several long minutes and receive 2 marshmallows instead. Some children waited, many couldn't. Mischel wasn't really studying marshmallows. He was studying something economists later named hyperbolic discounting, a fancy term for a simple, brutal fact. Your brain doesn't value a future reward at its true worth. It shrinks that future reward the moment it's not sitting directly in front of you, no matter how much bigger it actually is. 1 marshmallow now can feel more real, more urgent, more valuable than 2 marshmallows in 10 minutes, even though the math says otherwise. You are not so different from those children. Your future self, the one who wants to wake up early, or save the money, or skip the second drink, is real to you in theory. Your present self, the one staring at the marshmallow, is real to you right now. Given the choice, your brain almost always sides with right now. Why does uncertainty matter so much? Because of a discovery made decades earlier by a psychologist named B.F. Skinner. Skinner studied how animals respond to rewards delivered in different patterns. Give a reward every single time a behavior happens, and the behavior stays steady, almost lazy. But give that same reward unpredictably, sometimes yes, sometimes no, on no fixed schedule at all, and the behavior explodes. The animal checks again, pulls the lever again, keeps trying, long after a predictable reward would have made it walk away satisfied. Does that remind you of anything sitting in your pocket right now? Every time you refresh a feed, you are pulling that same lever. Sometimes there's nothing new. Sometimes there's something that lights up your entire nervous system. You never know which one it will be until you check. That uncertainty isn't an accident of app design. It is Skinner's discovery, rebuilt in silicon, aimed directly at wiring your ancestors once used to find unpredictable berries in an unpredictable forest. Your brain isn't broken when it checks the app 40 times a day. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. It's just doing it inside a world built specifically to trigger that ancient shortcut, again and again, all day, without ever running out of berries. But chasing fast rewards is only half of this story. The other half is even stranger. It isn't only that your brain races toward pleasure, it's that your brain is far more afraid of loss than it is excited by gain. In the late 1970s, two psychologists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, ran experiments asking people to choose between different combinations of gains and losses. What they found reshaped an entire field of economics. People did not treat a potential loss and an equivalent potential gain as opposite ends of a balanced scale. Losing something felt roughly twice as painful as gaining the same thing felt good. Kahneman and Tversky called this loss aversion, and it explains far more of your daily choices than you'd expect. Why do you avoid the difficult conversation, even one that might genuinely improve your relationship? Because your brain isn't weighing the possible improvement fairly against the discomfort. It's treating a small, immediate, awkward risk as more threatening than a large, distant reward. Why do you keep paying for the subscription you never use? Because canceling it feels like a loss, even though the money quietly leaving your account every month is a loss too. It's just a slower, quieter one your brain has stopped noticing. Here's the twist most people never see coming. None of this is a flaw in your reasoning. It isn't a bug. It's a feature that kept your ancestors alive. In a world of scarce resources and constant danger, a creature that overweighted losses survived more often than a creature that treated gains and losses as equal. Losing your only reliable food source could mean death. Missing a slightly better opportunity usually just meant waiting for the next one. The math of survival was never symmetrical, so your brain never evolved to treat it symmetrically. You inherited a decision-making system exquisitely tuned for a world of scarcity, immediate danger, and unpredictable resources. And then you were born into a world of infinite scrolling, guaranteed meals, one-click purchases, and rewards engineered by people who understand Skinner's variable schedules and Berridge's wanting system better than you understand your own habits. Of course you make bad decisions. You're running 400,000-year-old software on hardware surrounded by threats and rewards it was never built to filter. Scientists have a name for this kind of gap. They call it evolutionary mismatch, meaning the environment your brain expects and the environment you actually live in have drifted wildly apart, while your wiring stayed exactly the same. Think about the snooze button again. 9 extra minutes of sleep feels like an immediate, tangible win. The distant cost, being rushed and frazzled later, barely registers, because your ancient brain is terrible at weighing a vague future cost against a concrete present reward. Think about the dessert. In a world where sugar was rare and calorie-dense food often meant survival through a lean season, a brain that craved sugar intensely was a brain that lived. That exact same craving, completely unchanged, now stands in front of a grocery aisle stocked with more sugar than your ancestors saw across an entire lifetime. Think about your dating app, cycling through faces with the same unpredictable reward pattern as a slot machine. Think about the online cart you keep adding to at midnight, chasing a feeling that fades the moment the confirmation email arrives. Think about the credit card that lets you feel the marshmallow now and pushes the second, larger cost weeks into a future your brain barely believes in. Think about the newsfeed that keeps you scrolling long after the story stopped being useful, because somewhere in the pile might be one more piece of unpredictable, urgent information. None of these environments existed when your brain was being built. Your wiring didn't get worse. The world around it got engineered, piece, by people who read the same research you're hearing right now and used it to build products instead of building understanding. You are not weak. You are ancient. So what do you actually do with that? You cannot rewire 400,000 years of evolution by tomorrow morning. But understanding the system changes how you move through it. When you feel the pull to check your phone one more time, you can recognize it as a wanting signal, not a genuine need. When you feel unusually resistant to canceling something you barely use, you can recognize loss aversion doing exactly what it evolved to do, protecting you from a kind of threat that no longer exists in the way it once did. You cannot delete the wiring, but you can stop mistaking it for a personal failure. Every generation before you lived inside this same wiring, just without a world engineered to exploit it quite this precisely. Your ancestors' bad decisions were mostly capped by their environment. There were only so many ripe fruits to overeat, only so many unpredictable rewards to chase in a single day, only so many marshmallows anyone was ever offered in a lifetime. Yours are not capped. Your environment is an unlimited buffet built from exactly the triggers your brain is least equipped to resist, refilled automatically every single time you reach for more. So the next time you catch yourself opening the app for the 5th time in 10 minutes, pause for 1 second before you do it. Ask yourself a simple question. Am I choosing this, or is 400,000 years of survival wiring choosing it for me? You still open the app one more time. Nothing has changed since you last checked. You still know nothing has changed. But this time, you understand exactly why you did it anyway, and that understanding is the only real advantage 400,000 years of evolution never planned for you to have.